Hey everybody, this is day 17 of our 15 minutes of flexibility, or 21-day focus. Today you're going to need a band. Well, you might not need it, okay, but you may need a band for some assistance. One or two slightly advanced stretches here. Maybe you can't get into the position. Having a band or something to lasso your foot with, okay, belt or a tie, might help you get into a couple of these stretches. So if you've got a band, brilliant, keep it nearby. If not, grab a tie or a belt. And like I said, you might not need it, but just in case, keep it nearby if you need some assistance to get into a couple of these stretches. Alright, so apart from that, mat is optional. Don't need anything else. We're going to start down on the floor. We're going to do full hip complex down the floor, and then we're going to get into some static stretching, a lot of it. Lower body, always lower body dominance, with a little bit of upper body to finish off. Okay, so get jumping down, wheel foot out in front. Just go ahead and start my clock. Keep me in line. And we're just going to start off trying to get both elbows down to the floor here. And we're going to hold this position for a good minute. So we're in our half kneeling position. Foot nicely out in front, just slightly out the side. And I'm going to try and get both elbows down, just inside the foot here, anywhere at all. Okay, the closer to your foot you are, the harder it is. And the further back, the harder it is. So I'm slightly in front of my foot, and I'm a nice bit away from it, okay? So shimmy around a small bit. We're trying to get both elbows down. Once I'm down here, I'm moving those hips side to side, forward and back. Feeling those tightness here on this inner thigh, hip flexor of the back leg, a little bit on the lower back on the opposite side as well. Tons going on down here in our half kneeling position with both elbows on the floor. Again, the closer to your foot you go, the harder that stretch gets. So just keep it away from it and come slightly forward if you're really struggling. Just going to hold it for another little bit longer before we change it up. Okay, just coming up onto my hands. I'm going to stay exactly where you are. I'm not going to shift weight anywhere. I'm just going to push this knee gently away from us a little bit. I'll press it out and let it come back in. We're going to hold this position. So we're up on our hands, but we haven't moved our feet or our legs. And I'm going to use my hand just to press this knee away, open up that hip, feeling a little bit back here. And then once I get comfortable into it again, this little bit of movement side to side, feeling the stretch moving around. A huge amount obviously on this hip flexor of the back leg. So just a gentle press away, and a little side to side movement. You can see me pivoting off this front hand, the hand that's on the ground. I'm using that to take my weight, just pivot off it a little bit. Alright. Just releasing that nice and easy. We're going to shift as far forward as we can, and we're going to hold this here now for a minute, hitting this calf, okay, and ankle. Just putting plenty of weight on this. If you've got a kettlebell or a dumbbell nearby and you want to advance this, you can just pop it on your knee, but I'm not going to this morning. I don't really feel the need to. Plenty of weight on the knee, down in this low down position. Trying to keep my heels somewhat on the floor, okay? Just aware, I'm trying to keep that heel down. Now moving it slightly left to right. So there's a little bit of movement left to right with the knee. Helps me move the stretch around my calf and Achilles, feeling different areas of tightness. A little lift in the heel is no big deal. Again, always consciously trying to keep it down. Alright, bring your hands back down to the floor. So this is where you might need your band. okay, you might not. And down as low a position as possible. I've kept this knee forward from where I was leaning on it. I'm going to look over that leg back at my foot on the ground. I'm going to try and grab that, okay, with my opposite hand. We're going to hold this for good 90 seconds. Really like this one. There's a huge amount going on. I spend a nice bit of time in it. If you don't quite have the mobility to get that foot up there and grab it, that's where you'll just try and lasso it with your band, pop it around your foot, like so, and give it a pull like that instead. Okay, so if you're not able to grab it with the hand, you're just grabbing it with that band instead. Bit of a hamstring cramp there, just needs to release for a second. There it is again. And while I'm in this position, I'm shifting again. I'm facing forward for a little bit, and I'm facing out to the side for a little bit. So I'm feeling the stretch. The leg that I'm pulling, or the one that I'm holding onto, that is, that quad, those hip flexors, massively opened, okay, down here in this position. I feel a lot different, far different stretch here side on than I do face on. So I just move between those two positions, and I can feel that heel getting gradually closer and closer to me as it opens up. So you might have started with the band, and as it releases you might be able to get that hand around those toes. Alright, so there we go with that. Nice and easy. We're just going to sit back and hit this hamstring then before we swap sides. So sitting back, just going to relax this leg, point the toe away, bit of a bend in the knee, and now hands are either side as I drop my chest down towards my thigh. Okay, I'm just going to hold this position for the last minute, and then we're swapping out sides. So hands are either side. Again, don't have your knee locked out. Your legs shouldn't be dead straight here. Little bend in the knee, sitting back onto the heel. This hamstring here, I can feel the stretch. Don't need to get back any further. Okay, coming out of that then, we're just going to swap sides. We're getting back to the start, okay, of that sequence on the opposite side. So foot is brought out in front, and we're starting off with both elbows down on the ground, okay, or as close as we can. Again, you should be able to get your elbows to the ground somewhere. It might be just very far away. Again, out here, okay, is pretty simple in comparison to right in here beside the heel. Again, coming forward a bit, shifting forward and coming down, that will be a lot easier than to be back here in line with the heel, okay. So both elbows are down. Move your foot a little bit, okay, if you have to. Pushing your knee out away from your body. Help you get that a little bit lower. This is one of the positions that you are going to round your upper back in. I'm always talking about trying to keep good posture in every stretch. Down here, the main thing we're trying to do is get as low to the ground as possible. So we're opening up this hip as much as possible. That's not going to happen without us rounding our back somewhat, okay? So this is one position where I'm not panicked too much about my upper back. I will just consciously not keep my chin tucked in, okay? If I'm focusing on the floor in front, that will help just a little bit. But my upper back's going to have to round somewhat to get down here. And we're coming up onto our hands. Again, we're not moving our feet or our knees, and we're trying to push that knee away. Okay, so I'm supporting myself on this hand. I'm pushing that knee out away from the body. And I just release it. I just like to move it a little bit. Okay, when I'm in this position, so I'm pressing the knee away. I'm relaxing, letting it come back in. Alright, we'll release that and we're going to sink forward again as far as we can. Hit this ankle, okay, this calf and this Achilles. And again, if you had something you want to pop it on your knee for a little bit more, to get a bit more out of it, you can. But just putting both your arms, putting your body weight on it, you're going to get a nice bit. And we're just starting to move that knee then side to side. So I'm just going to move it from left to right. When I'm down here. And trying to keep the heel down, but if it lifts a small bit, it's no big deal. You can feel a nice bit here, okay, nice and high up. When I do let it lift a tiny bit, so it's no problem. If I keep it down, bring it down lower around the Achilles. If I let it lift a little bit, I'll feel it shoot up my calf a small bit. Alright. So bring my hands back to the floor. And again, this is where you might need your band, okay, to suit that back leg. But I'm looking over. Okay, I'm going to lift that, grab it with my hands, and hold it now facing forward, and then turn it to face out to the side. So again, just a little bit of hamstring cramp there. I had a nice bit of volume in the last couple of days. Things are just starting to give out a little bit. So if your hamstring cramps, you need to release a little bit, it's fine. Release it and let it go. Face out the side, face out the front. Alright, I'm going to sit back then onto that hamstring. Just right back. Again, a little bend in the knee, toes pointing away, that foot's pretty relaxed. And I'm just leaning over that leg, okay, nice and relaxed. So hands are just either side of the leg. Give the leg a little bit of a shake or wobble, make sure it's in the most comfortable position possible. Again, make sure your knee isn't fully locked out. It's just a little bend in the knee as the toe points away. Alright, coming out of that nice and easy. We're going to, you might need the band now again for the next one, so that's the sequence complete there on both sides. We're going to be face down, okay, with our hands out the side, and we're going to be trying to get foot to opposite hand and just hold it, okay, for a minute. So again, you might be able to get hands out to the side. We're trying to go foot to opposite hand, and I just got my toes, and I'm going to hold that. Okay, so again, if you can't, if you're not able to grab it, that's where you will just lasso it, okay, and then use that band to pull the foot out there to that side, okay, so we're trying to get that foot up that side as far as possible. If you're unable to grab it with your hand, you'll lasso it with the band, just like I showed you there, okay. So we're just going to do a minute here each side. Let's start off this side here now. Hands are out to 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. I brought that hand, or that foot to my hand, and now I'm just going to hold that. This hip flexor here, the front of this hip, this quad and hip, all getting hit nicely. And I have a bit of rotation in my back then as well. Okay, open up that back a small bit. Head is just on the floor. The other hand stays out here, just to keep you stretched out. I'm not pulling the foot, okay? I'm just latching on, I'm just hanging on to that foot and holding it back there. Like I said, this quad, hip flexor getting hit nicely. Release it nice and easy. And swap sides. So again, your hands are at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Bring the foot as close to the hand as you can. If you can grab the toes and give it a further pull. And you can see I'm looking away. I'm looking at the hands on the ground. That helps me bring that foot a little bit higher, rather than looking at the foot that you're holding on to, okay? Getting a huge amount going around up here, in front of this hip, quad, and because the position I'm in, back is getting up and opened up a nice bit as well. So coming out of that then, nice and easy. That's our 15 minutes. Just up there, okay? Hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, calves, bit in the back, all nicely hit. Really love that sequence down on the floor. Those two more advanced ones, okay, that I said you could use the band just to lasso your foot. If you really struggle with those, rewind the video, go back, okay? See if you can get a minute either side on the two of those again. Maybe paying a bit more attention how I use the band, just to loop it around my foot, give it a pull, and hopefully you're able to work on that then where you don't require the band further down the road. Okay, thanks very much guys, have a good day and I'll see you tomorrow.